Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slam of Wrestling. Myself Supreet, and this is your Elimination Chamber 2021 review. And I'm joined by Ishan Chauhan. What's up, Ishan?
Oh, I'm doing absolutely great. What a mind-boggling pay-per-view.
Yes, you can say that. In my opinion, it was a decent show because first off, I wasn't keeping a lot of hopes regarding Elimination Chamber and especially regarding both Elimination Chamber matches. But like I said, decent show. But regarding certain decisions they made with WrestleMania, I was not a big fan of it. What did you think about it?
Well, you know, from a fan perspective, I think it is one of their strongly booked pay-per-views, I would say. Except for the women's tag team championship match, every single match on the pay-per-view had a purpose, and it was not just thrown in there. And it all made sense. All these matches connected the dots. You did not have stupid winners coming out of it. You did not have any false finishes for that matter. So all in all, I felt that because as you said, you did not expect anything from this. I certainly same way I wasn't expecting anything either, and when you don't expect and then they deliver, so I really like this paper. You like they stepped up big time. I don't and I've been seeing what's going on the internet. I don't understand why. Like I just feel that people have to become a Jim Cornette all the time.
Jim Cornette. Let's see. There are certain decisions, like I said, that didn't make sense. But anyways, let's get through the card. But before that, if you are new to this channel, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and do all that fun stuff. Check out our previous content. Like last week, you and I did the review for NXT Takeover Vengeance Day, and also check out our latest AEW Dynamite review with Abhishek Ganeja, where the made a blockbuster news regarding Kenny Omega versus John Moxley that will be happening at Revolution in a explosive barbed wire match. So check that out. So did you check out the pre-show, Ishan? So they had a sort of number no fatal four-way match that will decide the third participant in that United States Championship match. So originally it was supposed to be Keith Lee, but they are saying that he's injured. Do you know any what happened to Keith Lee here?
Uh, Honestly, I don't have any update on what Keith Lee is, what issues Keith Lee has right now. They say it is some kind of an injury, uh, but we don't know what kind of injury it is. Last he wasn't on the show last week on the Go Home show of Elimination Chamber. There were, even then they were talking about like possible injury at the hands of Bobby Lashley and that steel steps and everything like that. So we don't really know if it's an injury or if it is something different altogether. Because last time uh, when he wasn't there, I think he had tested positive or something like that.
Yes, yes. But
Because he had to miss the Royal Rumble also. So now that he came back, I thought everything is done. And actually, I even booked him. Like in my prediction article, I booked him to win this United States Championship match. And I certainly feel that if he would have been the third participant in this match, then he was winning the title instead of Riddle.
so this fatal four-way match consisted of Mustafa Ali, Elias Ricochet, and John Morrison. So what happened was retribution. Retribution. So they would help take out Ricochet, and this allowed Morrison to get a surprise roll up on Ali, and that was it. So Morrison is added to the title match. We'll get to that United States title match. But the main show kicked off with the Elimination Chamber match from the SmackDown side. So the winner gets Roman Reigns after this is done. So going into this, I had a feeling, and at the same time, you were also texting with me regarding this show, and I had a feeling that this was going to be a great chamber match, and it did. What did you think about this Elimination Chamber match?
Of course, it wasn't as brutal as previous elimination chamber matches that we've seen, uh, but it had its moment. You know, every single elimination, uh, the sequence that they eliminated superstars also made sense. The entire part, I felt the eliminations were really done, smartly, uh, because Cesaro getting the first elimination is a very big thing, and the commentary was hyping him up big time, you know. And he got a decisive submission victory over somebody like King Corbin, to eliminate him. Then you had Sami Zayn getting eliminated by Kevin Owens after being thrashed on the pods, and then a stunner. Then it made sense. Jey Uso eliminates Kevin Owens. Then Jey Uso eliminates Cesaro, and that's how it went. So it just made sense for everybody to eliminate the other person. And as far as the action is concerned inside the match, I was expecting more brutality, because compared to the Raw side of things, the SmackDown Elimination Chamber had a lot of high spots, you can say, but brutality was missing.
So, match started with Daniel Bryan and Cesaro, and they had some great wrestling until Baron Corbin, who I shall not call King Corbin. So he started beating up both men, and then comes Sami Zayn. So there was a very funny spot here where he didn't wanted to get outside of the pod, so he didn't realize that the other pod was so the other side of the pod was actually open, and Cesaro enters and starts beating up. So, like you said, Corbin gets eliminated with the help of the sharpshooter from Cesaro. So Kevin Owens enters, and Zayn and Owens actually wanted to team up, but Owens beats him up. So Owens did a great spot. He did a big moonsault off the pod, and he eliminated Sami Zayn with his stunner. So what we were left with is Jey Uso, Kevin Owens started fighting. So Uso eliminates Owens when he traps the arm of Owens in that chamber door, bunch of super kicks and splash, and he's out. So we are back to who? Daniel Bryan and Cesaro. They started fighting back and forth, and then Cesaro actually did a swing with the injured knee of Bryan. That was the story of the match. So Cesaro gets eliminated by Jey Uso, a super kick and a splash. He also did the same thing with Bryan, but Bryan actually kicks out. So Uso wanted to end the match with the big splash off the pod, but Bryan got his knees up, Bryan with the running knee, and that was it. Felt like a great match here with the storytelling in itself, but the brutality was missing, and it was the theme of both chamber matches. So, anyways, Bryan is the winner, and they quickly get into the match with Roman Reigns, the Universal Championship match. So, Reigns is wasting no time. He enters the ring. So, Bryan is vulnerable here. Match begins. Reigns looked for a spear. Bryan catches him with yes lock. Reigns started beating him up, and he gets the win following a guillotine, and that was it. So, what did you think about this entire outcome? And also, one thing to miss is that Edge showed up, he spared Reigns, and he also pointed at the WrestleMania sign, and that's official. Edge has chosen Roman Reigns as his opponent at WrestleMania. Thoughts on this, Ishan?
Well, first of all, I did not expect Daniel Bryan to win,
Who were you
but
actually going for?
I actually thought Kevin Owens would win, because the reason I thought that was because last time their story was left high and dry because of the controversial last man standing finish. So I thought that Kevin Owens would win this thing, and then Roman will beat him clean, like he
Uh,
beat Daniel Bryan. He
but
would beat Kevin Owens clean, and that would be the end of their rivalry forever. Then the Kevin Owens story is done. There is no open end, like. But then that did not happen, and because it doesn't make for, I thought it doesn't make sense for anybody else except for Owens to win it and then you know go and challenge Roman Reigns. That's for, like, what are you going to do? all this effort in the elimination chamber for the opportunity right after, that grueling match, and that's a one night opportunity you're getting. So doesn't really make sense for anybody else to win it. But they did a good job with the match. I really liked, Owens Brian picking him up and going into the yes lock as soon as Reigns tried the spear. So it was a really nice touch there. Not a fan of anybody else winning it except for Owens, but uh, that was that entire match was well played out. And anyway, I think everybody knew Roman is retaining.
There's
As
no
far
way
as
he's losing.
Yeah, as far as Edge is concerned, uh, this too was everybody. There were speculations all around that Edge will make his presence felt in some capacity or another at the Elimination Chamber, and he did that. you know. And I really did not expect WWE to go all guns blazing with this tonight on the pay-per-view. I thought they'll keep it till Friday Night SmackDown or probably Monday Night Raw, but uh, well, I don't know. Like if I was the booker and I wanted some quick ratings, then I would advertise Edge going to announce his WrestleMania opponent.
You know what? I'm not a big fan of Edge picking Roman Reigns because when I saw Daniel Bryan winning, I opened the door of yes, there is one last chance for Bryan versus Reigns at WrestleMania. Okay, he beat him tonight, but you could have got a proper match out of it at WrestleMania.
Those absolutely you would have got, but see, Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns is a match that can happen anytime in the 12 months. Edge and Roman Reigns is from a marketing perspective, from a business perspective, from a money perspective, and from a drawing attention perspective. Edge versus Roman Reigns is money, honestly. There's and at the end of the day, that's what makes WWE different. WWE is a publicly traded sports entertainment company, so you cannot expect it to really back its back fan favorites all the time.
But they missed the boat on this one. I think, in my opinion, they missed the boat. Could have went with Brian, maybe continued the story. They should have done. They should have given Edge Drew McIntyre, but sadly that won't even happen after what happened in the main event. But they should have went like this. Give Roman Reigns to Daniel Bryan. They could have given Drew McIntyre to Edge. That could have been the easy route and would have made
That
more
very
sense.
well could have been easy route, but then that's what happens. Uh, your retired superstar comes back, and Roman Reigns is already a established megastar face of the WWE for around 5-6 years now. The only thing is people have started loving his work in the past 8-9 months. uh, so when you think about Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, McIntyre has just become a star in this one year. In this one year, he has become a world champion. So, Edge choosing McIntyre would tarnish McIntyre's credibility of a young talent. So, him going against Roman Reigns, I'm excited to see how they go. I don't know how they will give Roman Reigns the loss, though. How will the tribal chief take a loss? I don't know. I really don't know. But it's smart from that perspective. I have a fantasy booking after tonight. I really think the WWE Championship picture looks stronger than Edge versus Roman Reigns. Like, if you're giving me Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre, I love it. If you're giving me Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre versus The Miz, I love it. You know,
But in a overall scheme of things, Brian winning this gruesome chamber match and then losing it to Roman Reigns kind of felt, waste of time in some.
that's what I said. That's what I said. That is why I said, I did not see anybody except Kevin Owens winning it. Because if Kevin Owens wins it, then people are like, okay, yeah, he's been feuding. That feud is incomplete. okay, today he did everything and today Roman Reigns got a clean victory. Now this is done. So that would have made sense, you know. But as I said, one night glory, wasn't a fan.
Anyways, Edge versus Reigns, they can bring a good story out of it. Let's see what happens. I mostly think Reigns will be retaining the championship. So from that, we get to the United States Championship match. Bobby Lashley defending his title against Matt Riddle and John Morrison. So a little decent match here. Lashley made to look like a complete monster. Like this has been the thing going with him for the last 8 months or so. So every time Riddle and Morrison teamed up here, Lashley would be back in control. And in the final parts, we see Lashley kicking out of Morrison's Starship Pain. So Morrison, who gets he gets in the face of MVP. So he takes MVP's crutches. MVP is injured after what happened last week at Monday Night Raw. So he takes his crutches and you look to use it on Lashley, but Lashley catches him with the hurt lock. So Riddle takes the crutches and takes some shots at Lashley. Bro Derek to Morrison, and Riddle is your new United States champion. So I think it was a great decision. At least after all these weeks, Riddle made to look like a geek and Wagera. He finally got something out of it. He's finally United States champion, and also they kept Lashley strong. So what did you think about this decision?
See, I don't know. See, I think I'm a pro wrestling fan that doesn't bitch a lot. So I'm a guy who is a Matt Riddle fan. Love him. 420 for life.
Even though he may be not well liked nowadays after hashtag speaking out.
It doesn't. I don't even believe it. I don't think that's a false accusation. Like,
But anyway, what did you think about the decision?
well, you know, Riddle winning the United States Championship is something that really brought a smile to my face. I I expected the title to change hands at the Elimination Chamber, as I mentioned earlier. Just did not think that, you know, Riddle would win it. But with Keith Lee out of the picture, smart decision to have Riddle as the champion. And now it really excites me that, you know, the fatal four-way number one contender match that we saw earlier, and then the triple threat match that we saw later in the night, uh, and with Bobby Lashley going out of the US title picture now, I'm somewhat getting hopes of a US championship ladder match at WrestleMania.
Maybe, but with Riddle as champion, they could make him a workhorse champion, put on some great matches here and there.
Oh, definitely. There's time for WrestleMania. There's 3 months for WrestleMania. You know, so he can do that for week in, week out, or on the next Fastlane pay-per-view. But WrestleMania is going to be the first pay-per-view of WWE since Elimination Chamber 2020 that will have fans in attendance. So I'm sure they want to go all guns blazing and, you know, want to have exciting matches. And what better than having a ladder match for the US title with such a impressive roster? At least many guys who are not used will get used. I feel so sorry for them at times.
So let's see. Hopefully, gets a great title run with the US Championship.
Yep.
So up next, we have the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match: Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. I get it that they want to make these tag team titles be defended on every brand now, but this match here didn't make sense because Bianca and Sasha didn't had to be here in this situation. So what did you think about it? This match here?
Well, I think this match was only added to the card because Lacey Evans got pregnant.
Hey, by the way, before you go through this match regarding Lacey Evans, so I was watching the kickoff show, and they were discussing that who's the father of Lacey Evans's baby. Does that mean this pregnancy is not legit?
She is, I think, Rajgiri and or Dave Meltzer. I don't like the man. Dave Meltzer himself, I guess, reported. I guess I don't know that it's a legitimate pregnancy and stuff like that, and that is the reason why WWE uh, pulled pulled out, from this match, and that could be the reason why they added this women's match in the end, because this wasn't announced until this past week on Friday Night SmackDown. Just
So
thrown in together to fill the card, I guess.
so let's talk about this match here. Anyways, so they begin with Jax and Belair. So Belair goes after the hole right away.
Yeah.
So Baszler enters. So she was dominating Banks for a while. So at the end we see Reginald. So he had a champagne bottle in hand.
Yeah.
He gave Banks to use this bottle, but Banks wasn't interested. So Jax hits Banks with a Samoan drop for the win, and that was it. I'm glad that they didn't win the tag team titles at least, and with this finish, they protected Sasha. So maybe I think they're gonna do Jax versus Banks at a SmackDown, random SmackDown for the championship, I guess. No,
I will not. If I would be Vince McMahon, I would not put my top women's champion one on one in the ring with Nia Jax.
but in
End of
typical,
story.
but in their typical booking, they will do that match, I guess.
Well, I don't know then. I will have to kill myself if that happens. Because you have to make sure Sasha is safe, man. Nia is, I don't know. Anyway, don't mean to be rude here, but yeah, first of all, I'm not understanding what is Reginald doing. Like, I like him as a character, but like, is he not with Carmella anymore? He's getting like Carmella. I saw Carmella say shit to him a few weeks ago. I guess this week or whatever. I don't remember exactly. But then he's just behind Sasha Banks all the time. What it is, I don't know.
Maybe he leaves Carmela and aligns himself with Sasha going forward.
It would make sense here. It would make sense. Much sense than what it is going on right now. Yeah, I feel Banks and Reginald should align himself with Sasha Banks sooner than later, because it makes much more sense. And if he does not, then probably the only reason he is so nice to Sasha Banks is because he wants to, he wants to convince her to give Carmella another shot at the SmackDown Women's Championship, probably at Fastlane.
Anyways, so it looks like they will be doing Banks versus Belair at WrestleMania. And maybe they do a dynamic where we see a heel Sasha Banks against a babyface Belair.
When I think about it, Sasha Banks is already a anti-hero of sorts.
But
I
she
don't
is kind
consider
of portrayed.
Sasha Banks
She has
like
been
if
being,
you see her character. If you see her character, the way she presents herself, and all that, that crazy sass that she's got, that's an anti-hero. That's not even a hero. That's not even a villain. That's like somewhere in the middle.
So that's regarding the SmackDown Women's Championship and about tag team titles. Great that they didn't give the title to Banks and Belair because that honor goes to Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai.
Absolutely, it does. And I'm really happy that they are using these women's tag team championships much more than previous times. They are legitimate tag teams. I want Dakota and Raquel to win the title only because NXT has a very good depth in women's tag teams. You could actually get legitimate tag team action from the women that we rarely see on the main roster. Like the main roster matches, like, oh god, that's such a pain to watch at times.
At least on the SmackDown side of things, we see some decent matches every week on SmackDown.
Yeah, SmackDown has decent matches. I don't know. I feel they should change the Raw color. That red color is only not giving them good vibes anymore.
Forget the red color. You know what they should do? Fire Bruce Pritchard.
Why? I don't know. Is he causing mayhem backstage?
He only cares about his job, being the right man of Vince McMahon, and he doesn't know to book decent television anymore. So enough
But he's
about
booking
Bruce.
SmackDown and Raw, right? He's booking both shows, right?
Maybe, but I think the majority of power is with Paul Heyman when it comes to booking SmackDown.
No. Paul Heyman is not does not have any backstage role in WWE anymore. That is the very reason. That is the very reason Aleister Black also uh, went directionless. Paul Heyman was removed from the role as executive director of Raw, and then all Paul Heyman's people, Murphy, Aleister Black, Shayna Baszler, all these people that were getting used in the pandemic era, they all got lost in the shuffle.
I think there is some input with Heyman, at least
Heyman is
when
only there for Roman Reigns. No, we have a perfect report here that Heyman is no longer doing backstage stuff. He's a on-air talent. He's a
but
talent.
there is some change in creativity in SmackDown, I guess.
SmackDown creative has been the same for a long time because we regularly keep a tab of all this, who's in charge, who's running the shows. Only thing is that the producing team is different. SmackDown and Raw, little bit there is a difference, but it has almost the same producers working. I guess it's just that becomes too much on the head for the writers also to book a show for 3 hours every week.
So enough about SmackDown. Let's get into the main event. It was for the WWE Championship. I think you're watching it right now. So this was an Elimination Chamber match, and this wasn't as good as the SmackDown one, but great effort here. What did you think about this match?
When I see it again, I've seen this match 3 times today. Okay, I saw it live. I saw it repeat. I'm watching it again. Now this match had a little bit of, what do you say,
Violence.
potential to give brutality, but this match also lacked in brutality. When I remember Elimination Chamber as Triple H, men like Triple H, Randy Orton, Booker T, and Chris Jericho, these guys going through the pods, Batista, these, when you have hefty big men like these, you had big men like Sheamus, you had big men like McIntyre, you had big men like uh, Randy Orton, 3 big, heavy guys, and then you don't do any crazy brutal spots. First of all, I feel that this chamber itself is a very soft place. That outside is not steel anymore. So probably that is the reason the wrestlers are doing their bit, but I think the chamber doesn't look as scary anymore. Maybe that could be a thing.
And by the way, nobody went through the pod in both these chamber matches.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
That's what I'm saying. No brutality.
So let's get through this match. So
at least you could have had Otis in the match. Otis would have taken himself through the pod. It's okay. He did it 2 years ago. Last year, I guess.
Last year.
Yeah, he did it. You could have added my boy Otis there.
So
a bigger draw.
Let's quickly get into this match. Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy begin it, and we see Orton getting eliminated quickly thanks to Kofi Kingston. So Orton is pissed. He RKOs everyone. So AJ Styles wants to enter, but with the help of Omos, so Omos actually rips the plexiglass. So Styles escapes and enters, but he failed to get the pin here. So Kingston did a free fall dive off the pod. So Bro kick to Kingston, he is eliminated. Hardy with a couple of twist of fates to everyone. But instead of going to finish Styles, he decided to whisper in the wind on both Sheamus and McIntyre of the pod. So Claymore to Hardy, he is eliminated. And finally, we get to the final last three. So a phenomenal forearm to Sheamus, he is gone. So we're left with McIntyre and Styles. So Styles was looking to do the same thing with McIntyre, but he catches Styles with the Claymore kick, and that was it. So
You missed the part where Sheamus kicked Drew McIntyre, man.
Sheamus kicked who?
Sheamus broke kick Drew McIntyre and then AJ Styles. So I'll tell you the sequence, okay? Jeff Hardy gets a swanton bomb on AJ Styles and immediately gets caught in immediately, like he hits the swanton bomb, he gets up and immediately gets caught with a Claymore kick. McIntyre eliminates him, and then AJ Styles retreats to the outside because of the swanton bomb. McIntyre and Sheamus start fighting, and then eventually it ends up with Sheamus delivering the broke kick to McIntyre. McIntyre is down and out. Even before Sheamus can go for the cover, Styles out of nowhere hits a phenomenal forearm and then pins Sheamus.
So there you go. McIntyre retains is still champion, at least for now. But post-match, out comes Bobby Lashley. So he spears McIntyre, starts beating him around the ring. But then comes Miz. They actually teased this that Miz was going to cash in the Money in the Bank after his interaction with Bad Bunny, and then they had some sort of meeting with MVP. And by the way, he voluntarily decided to get out of this match. So what happened was Miz shows up. He has a referee with him. So he finally cashes in the Money in the Bank. So he couldn't get the job done with the DDT. Hits the skull crushing finale, and that is Miz is your new WWE champion. So thoughts on this, Ishan?
Well, first of all, I did not expect them to do this at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, just two pay-per-views before, one pay-per-view before WrestleMania. But then, if they wouldn't have done it now, then when, you know, next Money in the Bank. So it was really a good decision. You know, just when the Miz said that, you know, he wants to take himself out, and then he opened that position, I had this doubt that maybe we get another cash in. But then there was something going on in my mind that was saying that maybe it's an unsuccessful cash in. But then they show him talking to MVP. It was certain for me that Miz is going to come out. The moment I saw Miz with MVP, I knew Miz will cash in. And you know, I check this timings and everything, so to guess if there is anything more, you know. So the show is supposed to be 3 hours, if not 3 hours, 2 hours 45 minutes at the least. And the show ended around half an hour before its schedule, like the match, the WWE Championship match. So I was sure that we have 15-20 more minutes under our belt, and you know, something is going to happen. They are not going to end a show in less time than Monday Night Raw.
But here's the thing. So Miz is WWE champion. Indeed, he deserves a second WWE title reign. But you know, I think not right now, because as of since the
I
last
feel it should have come in 2016, man.
yes, that was the perfect time, I guess. 2016, 2017, after he was hot with that IC title reign, that was the perfect time to give him the WWE championship. Not right now, because
When he was owning Daniel Bryan on Talking Smack.
yes, but nowadays he's just a I'm happy to be there kind of guy.
Oh no, definitely not, man. Don't say that.
No, like it's that
How
kind of
can no no
position.
no? This is no. Why do you say? Tell me, why do you say Miz is a happy to be there kind of a guy?
Happy to be there means he doesn't care if he's on the mid card or the lower card or something doing something stupid. He just wants to be there. He's making his money, and I think he's not taking that seriously like he used to 3 years ago. And by
Dude,
the way,
he's making millions.
that's
He's
the
he's
point.
a millionaire. He's making
That's the
millions only from WWE. And the best part, well, if you ask me, he's do you know he wasn't even a WWE fan, to be honest. He did not watch wrestling growing up. He just wanted to become a character, an actor, an entertainer. And when you think about this, when a person's goal is to become a character, an entertainer, an actor, then what he's doing right now is just more than what he actually deserved. Like, he earned all of this, of course. He's not a bad wrestler. He's a good wrestler. He's a safe wrestler. Touchwood, he is the only wrestler along with Chris Jericho who've never been injured in their careers. Never missed time due to an injury. So, Miz has a lot of. I believe Miz has done some great things. He's making millions, man. You don't need to have every champion that is that has a personality like Triple H or Batista. Those were the guys that were there in the time, and now they're gone. This is a new era, and I feel Miz does those things because he has a other side on the screen that is evidently seen. He's a actor. He regularly does a lot of these commercials and series and all that. So he has to be goofy and all that. John Cena also is goofy. He's like goofy. He's the goofiest goofy I've ever seen. So, yeah. So I wouldn't say he's just another guy who is happy to be there. He's a guy who's made a lot of for himself too. Like, he wasn't even allowed to dress in the same locker room as all these men, and now today he's in the top 10 list of highest paid wrestlers. So I feel the statement is wrong.
But anyways, he's not feeling that legit nowadays. But he's WWE champion. But and in
No,
that
you'll have to see when he was with Maurice, his personality was different. When he was with the B team, the Mr. Raj, his personality was different. Now that he's back with John Morrison, this is the Miz and Morrison of the old, the dirt sheet characters that they were, with Miz coming to this kind of hair
yes,
and
yes.
stuff like that. So this is what Miz has gone back to. The only thing is we are not realizing it because it's not the Undertaker changing clothes from the dead man to the Phenom to the big evil to the biker to American badass.
Like I said, that Miz is not feeling like a legit guy nowadays. So he's WWE champion. So I think you also think about the same feeling here. I think he's gonna drop the WWE championship in the next pay-per-view to McIntyre, and then we can get this Lashley versus McIntyre thing at WrestleMania, where mostly Lashley wins the WWE championship again.
Uh, if you want me to book this, I will say that Miz drops the title to Lashley tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. Then McIntyre defeats him at WrestleMania. So even he gets 1.5 month reign, Or you could have Miz hold. Actually, you know what? The Miz will not hold on to the title at WrestleMania. Why? Because Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. How could we miss those guys? The match is set. That tag team match will happen. As I said, WWE wants big names for their first event with crowd. So Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, Miz and Morrison definitely happening. Max to max, the Miz is holding the WWE Championship till Fastlane. He drops it to Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is winning this. If Bobby Lashley doesn't win this, then he is the one who will win at WrestleMania. But if Bobby Lashley wins the title before that, then Drew McIntyre will be the one who will win the title in front of fans because he hasn't got his WrestleMania moment last year. So he wants to do that, yeah, in front of fans. So
At the expense of beating Lashley.
he's beat him already, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It could have been
He's
a.
beat him already. So that's what
It
I'm
could.
saying. You don't know because tomorrow is Ravi. The shows are yet to come. There's still a lot of time. Lashley could very well win it tomorrow or on the next pay-per-view. Or McIntyre could very well win it, in his rematch tomorrow or on the next pay-per-view, and then Lashley might defeat him.
Anyways, they kind of botched some stuff regarding the WWE title picture, maybe. But your scenario with McIntyre getting this win is the best situation coming out of it.
Absolutely. If McIntyre wins it before Lashley, then it gives Lashley a big WrestleMania moment here. And I think it would be a great match also. I don't know in terms of drawing power how much it will draw. But it does have. I think it's on the same level as Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Just that Sheamus and Drew McIntyre have a little personal thing to their rivalry. So there's more interest or inclination towards that. But Lashley and Lashley versus McIntyre and Sheamus versus McIntyre are on the same level in my opinion. Just that the personal vendetta thing takes this McIntyre Sheamus a notch higher.
You want to hear a worst case scenario?
Please, Vince McMahon is winning the WWE Championship again.
Miz versus Bad Bunny, WWE Championship.
Winner take all WWE and WWE 24/7 Championship. I think if they do this match, that will be the day they should retire the WWE Championship and say that this is a toy belt. If they do this.
So, anyways, that was Elimination Chamber, man.
That was Elimination Chamber, one of the exciting pay-per-views. I look forward to a lot of brutality in this kind of a matchup. So didn't really get a lot of it, but still a wonderful pay-per-view. Overall, felt really nice, and I think the wheels are very well set in motion for WrestleMania.
Like I said, for both world titles, they have kind of botched everything. I wanted Bryan versus Reigns at WrestleMania. They were giving us Edge versus Reigns. Let's see
My
what they
first
can do.
chance, my first uh, pick was Biggie versus Reigns, man. When they, started that Biggie single push even before SummerSlam.
So I know that I actually wanted to shit on this show, but you have given me some points to uh, make sense out of it.
Yeah,
So I know you want to head on to your next call or something. So let's wrap this up. Where can these guys find you?
yeah. So you guys can find me on Ishan Wrestling on Instagram and WrestleShan on Twitter. You can read my articles at essentiallysports.com and just simply Google my name, man.
So you can find Slam Up Wrestling on Twitter at SlamUpW, Instagram at SlamUp Wrestling. And if you don't want to watch this review on your YouTube app, then you can catch the audio versions on Anchor and Spotify as well. So this was the Elimination Chamber review, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.